Oh, you're getting the calendars? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So does that now record the sound?
You're on live.
I'm on.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
on. Okay. Just wait for me before you.
Okay, so now I've got it on your face there.
Okay, let's get started. Okay. I'm Isa Kirk, and I, over the years, created a calendar for our area here, or actually the times are just listed in Mountain Time, can be converted to any other time. I've been working with a German calendar for a long time, but then of course German times are different, and language is different. So this is how it evolved. It's not just a plain almanac calendar. It has lots of things in it that are favorable.
Open it up.
Not yet. And I'll show it. And it also lists a whole bunch of other stuff, and we'll go through the individual things that it's listed. Okay, this is the wall calendar. Hangs on the wall like this. Shows the whole month. Has, wherever I had space, I added information about the holidays or any other events like Mercury Retrograde or Sirius Rising, or what the old timers thought about certain things. When you hang it on the wall, nobody can remember all those things. The symbols are all explained in the back, so it's just easy to flip to the back and kind of read up on what's going on, or what you want, what you forgot about the different signs. They're all explained and listed in the calendar as what's favorable that day. I did not list anything that's unfavorable. So just the most favorable things are listed. Doesn't mean you can't do anything else on that day. Let's see. The other thing I created at the same time, because I'm using it all the time, is a pocket calendar with lots of room for notes and things like that, but the same information in the calendar, and the same explanation for all the symbols in the front of the calendar, all listed. The main rhythms that we all operate by, the main rhythms in our lives, everything goes by rhythms, by the way, short and long rhythms, small and larger rhythms. Our body lives in rhythms, nature lives in rhythms. But the most obvious rhythms people adopted for thousands of years was the sun and the moon rhythms, the seasons and the moon rhythms. And our body functions according to those rhythms too. And so there is the main difference in the moon calendar is between waning and waxing moon. During the waning moon, which is listed in blue symbols here, when the moon gets smaller towards new moon, from full moon to new moon, we exude energy, and earth takes it in. So this is the time when we are most active, when we are most likely to do things, when we are most likely to accomplish things, actively physically doing things. Earth takes in. This is the time when Earth absorbs nutrients, water, and things like this. And these informations were important for gardening, for planting, for harvesting, for when to do what. It's important, for example, also for pruning your shrubs. If you prune them on a full moon, you kill them. If you prune them on a new moon, you encourage the growth. Things like that are important to know. The waxing moon is the opposite. So towards full moon, our body integrates, takes in, absorbs energies and nutrition. And on full moon, it switches, like a waterfall comes loose, like a dam breaking, it exudes. And that's why full moon is known as a troublesome time, because whatever you absorbed in the last 2 weeks, negative or positive, comes streaming out. And that's where people are accident prone, the hospitals have double staff, the police has double staff. That's because of this extreme shift in energy during the time of full moon. Now, it's not just 1 minute. It leads up to it for 2-3 days. But the shift on full moon is abrupt according to the timing of the full moon. New moon isn't quite as dramatic, is too, but not quite as obvious to people. Anyway, so the calendar has different. I put different pictures in from the Black Hills, mostly from renowned photographers. And wherever I had room, I was explaining something about holidays in that time, or about what an equinox is, what a solstice is, why is Sirius rising in that calendar mentioned, and why are Mercury retrogrades, for example, mentioned. Mercury retrograde is a time 3 times a year, and it's listed in the calendar in the back, and in the pocket calendar in the front. The times are listed, and then they are shown within the calendar. They're marked within the calendar too. Those are times that are feared, but they're not. They don't have to be feared. New things don't work out. New projects don't come together. Contracts don't come together. Closings don't come together. Starting a new job gets postponed and extended. It's not that it is bad. It's just not happening in that time as easily as in other times. On the other hand, things that need finishing, need closing, need cleaning up, your annual whatever garage sale or cleanup, that's the perfect time for it because it flows easier than any other time of the year. I added something new this year, and we'll talk about it first, and that is what's called void of course moon. And they're listed underneath those little times here. And it starts, void of course moon, the start of that is usually when the last major aspect the moon goes through a last major aspect, whatever that is considered by whoever kind of explored that for many years and the effects of it. And it ends, void of moon ends at the exact entrance point of the moon into the next sign, when it goes from one sign to the next. And that can be important. Say, for example, you're in an air sign like Gemini or Libra, and it's windy out there, and it's changing over to another sign, to an earth sign or water sign after that. It doesn't immediately, just because it says Pisces doesn't mean it's raining that day. It changes, the energy shifts when the moon shifts. So sometimes that's the day before, and sometimes that's during that next day, because there's only so much that you can do with a calendar where you have to put your signs, or where you have to put the names of your signs. So let's go through how to read an individual day. And since we're here in February 25th, today is, according to those calendars, is a Leo day. Leo is a fire sign. It's predominantly warm or warmer. Now, that doesn't mean that it's warm according to summer. It feels warmer than the temperatures actually indicate, and dry. Leo is the sign that governs, and every sign governs certain body parts. Governs the heart and the back and the circulation. So there's ancient rules connected with those signs. So whatever you do positive for the body part that's governed on that day is especially positive. Whatever you do negative is especially negative. The one thing you never want to do on a sign that governs a certain body part, you'd never want to cut into it. So if you have a heart surgery planned, unless it's an utter emergency, you absolutely definitely do not want to do this on a Leo day. Talk your doctor out of it, whether he believes it or not. There's multiple examples from a long time. This knowledge goes back all the way to the Greek philosophers to know that this is just something to observe. On warm days, when it's warm, this is why the sign protein stands in here, is our body balances the energies by needing more protein. We counter the sweating and the energy that we're losing in hot weather and warm weather by craving more proteins. Likewise, for example, if we go to the next day, which is Virgo is an earth sign. It predominantly feels more cool than any other day, and our body craves salt on those days to balance the energies. So that's where those signs come in. Virgo governs the digestive organs and digestive tracts. So if somebody has trouble with that, those are the days you want to pay attention to so that you don't jeopardize yourself more than necessary. So if you can't digest the chips, the bag of chips, then try to avoid Virgo days that govern that tract, because you'll suffer twice as much as any other day. On the other side here, Leo is one of those days where there isn't anything favorable. The first, the fire days always govern fruit. So when you harvest and plant fruit, or harvest and plant leaf vegetables, or harvest and plant root vegetables, you go look for your sign according to when the earth accepts that the most, or when it's the best day to harvest things. Aries is usually the most favored day in the month for harvesting any kind of thing. Goes also for grocery shopping. The moment of touch is the important timing when to buy things. You buy them on a appropriate day that is suitable for harvesting. Your things will last longer in your kitchen. Whether they've been on the shelf for a while or not doesn't make any difference, unless they're already moldy, of course. Then it doesn't help anymore. But it makes a difference how long things last. You can see in the differences that during the waxing moon, there aren't that many activities listed. During the waning moon, you have a lot more activities that are favorable to this day, kind of like washing your windows or painting or building projects and all these kind of things. This little symbol here with a nail is one of those favorite days for cutting and trimming your nails, to get your nails harder and more resilient. If you have trouble with that, make sure to not just only, but choose predominantly Capricorn days. It'll, over time, you'll strengthen your nails. So these timings can be helpful for all sorts of weaknesses we have in our body, and they're all listed. So you don't have to remember all those things by heart. Every symbol is listed. Every symbol is explained in very brief words on what it does and doesn't do, and what's the favorite thing. And then there's other things that aren't really necessarily rhythmic in our or every month occur every month. So there's a few things that are listed separately according to which moon phase or days are favorable for those things. We have a few blue moons this year, and I had no clue what a full moon is. So it's the second full moon in a month, or a second new moon in the same month. Supermoons is when the moon on its course is closest to Earth. Micromoons, which I didn't list, is when the moon is furthest away from its course, has an impact on the water flow, on tide and what's it called? The ocean in English.
The tide?
Tides. The tides coming in and out. It has to do with the tides, and the wave heights has to do with how close or how far the moon is because of the magnetic. No, not the magnetic field. Missing the word. That's where English hits me in the back sometimes. These symbols we didn't talk about yet, ascending and descending moon, have have impact on harvesting and gardening. They're sometimes helpful. The ascending moon is when Earth sends energy up and out. So these are days good for harvesting. When descending moon, when the energy goes into the earth, are good for planting and fertilizing. When the moon sign doesn't really go along with your timing, like in the Black Hills when we have such a short season for planting and harvesting, it doesn't always work with the right zodiac signs. And then the ascending and descending moon can give us some extra days and some extra timing to still make this favorable. The zodiac signs mostly known for their association with our birth chart. What we refer to usually is the sign that the sun was in or standing in front on the day or during the timing when we were born. So it has some general characteristics that we are gifted with at the start of our life. Of course, we're expanding that and changing that. If we are aware of it, we can change any of those things. Some things stick with us for our lifetime and some don't. But the signs that are associated here, this calendar, are where the moon is. The moon goes in 28 days through all the different zodiac signs and brings certain day qualities and characteristics along. So during that time, fire signs are usually warm days and have more energy. Air signs, it's usually you can almost count on that it's windy those days, that the light is brighter. People that have trouble seeing and need sunglasses, those are the days when you probably are going to grab your sunglasses because you can't see. The blue signs, Pisces and Scorpio and Cancer, are water signs, are water days. If you need to dry something, those are not the days to put something out. It just won't dry, period. No matter whether you have 120 degrees, it just won't dry on those days. Earth days are cooler days, are the days where we have the most energy because we're connected to Earth. We're gaining energy through Mother Earth. And those are the days when we can do more physical labors that we on other days are reluctant to do. So that's the general thing about those calendars. So whenever I had room, I explained a few things from the old, where the holidays and the festivities of the old timers came in. We have to remember that people couldn't read and write till a few centuries or till a few decades ago, basically. And the majority of the people on this planet still can't read and write, but they can read and write. They can observe nature, and that's what this calendar is based on, is observations in nature over thousands of years. And the knowledge has been passed on through the tribes and through the people and came all the way into Europe. And since one of the biggest waves through Europe was the Celtic people moving through, a lot of this knowledge is still connected with the Celts, with the remaining areas where Celts are still celebrating some of those days. And so I added them because in every other religion or every other timing, a lot of those things were draped over the original holidays. The winter solstice was always a celebration for everybody. For example, on the 21st or 22nd of December, and Christmas was draped over that day because it was such an important date that people didn't want to, they knew they couldn't get the people to ignore that all of a sudden. So every new religion draped their days over those original celebrations in order to make this more palatable for the people that tried to convert to something new. And it was always celebrated, and winter was always a hard time in the northern hemisphere. So the shortest day of the year and then changing to getting longer was always the celebration of life and the hope that you make it through the winter and didn't starve to death before it got there. The same with the summer solstice or with the equinox. It's the same equal length of dates. the year was kind of sectioned in between 4 and 8 celebrating times for harvest in spring and for these things, and they were celebrating life because life was unpredictable, and lifespans were short, and the possibility of dying was ever present every day. There was no security. It still isn't, but we're not as aware of it anymore. And so that's where our timing comes in, our days, for example, how we're naming them, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They're coming from the Roman times. They were named after Roman gods. Mars, the god of war, for Wednesday, Mardi, and stuff like that. So there's still some very old things that we're not really consciously aware of, but they're interesting to see how they play into our times, how much we're still connected with the old times. So the thing from the previous years, what's new is the void of course moon. That's something that I stumbled over, and I was always saying, well, you don't take those signs too literally. They overlap into the next day or the previous day for about 12 hours. Well, this is the reason why they overlap, because they can start before or after. The void of course moon timing is kind of like a phasing out from one sign into the next one. It's like a mini Mercury retrograde, meaning you kind of get out of your hectic activity levels, you contemplate over what was going on, and move into the next activity phase with the next sign. Sometimes it's just minutes between the last aspect and the change into the new sign. Sometimes it's actually a whole day. And those are the days that maybe if you have a real serious plan, something is really important, look it up that it doesn't fall onto a void of course moon time by accident. Chances are that things are going to get delayed, postponed, not happening, not on time, things that are any dentist, any real estate agent can tell you that there's rhythms to things when things happen, and they're not really aware of why, but there's knowing those things, you can use your time more wisely. Anyways, do any of you two here have questions, things that I didn't mention, things that you popped up in your head that
How much do the calendars cost?
they're listed for $26.95. Since I'm late with this year's calendar, they're available for $20
That's for the large one?
for any of those. I don't print very many. They're very small numbers printed, and they cost about the same to print.
Okay.
So
where can they order?
Through me directly on Facebook. They're listed in my Facebook page, Ancient Moon Almanac. They're also listed on Etsy in my page there, Black Cat's Flower Essences, and directly through me. Just contact me directly. On Etsy, they're listed for the original price, $26.95, but then shipping is free. I think on Facebook I listed it too, but their shipping is free also. But I made the price so that I can actually reproduce them. Well, let's see. What
Pretty
else?
much covered everything.
Covered everything.
Yep.
You guys want me to go through a certain day? Something specific? Let's see here. Let's see. Here, for example, in June, we're going into, May. Let's see, May. Where is my Mercury retrograde sign? Mercury retrograde. So there's the next phase of Mercury retrograde starts on May 29th and goes all the way to June 22nd. So this is listed here, for example, and just before that we have a moon, and I looked up some names that they were traditional for names for the full moon, just for the fun of it. I also listed total and partial lunar and solar eclipses because they too have an impact on us in the traditional way. During solar eclipses, during lunar eclipses, people would not work, would sit still, stay at home, and wait till it was over, because it was kind of like a reboot of energy. It's kind of like rebooting your body and your internal computers, and it was best not to be very active in that time. It was a time to be for accidents predominantly. And so it became a habit of a lot of native people and tribal people, and to just simply sit that one out and not do anything. Other than maybe, no, not even prayers, because they were just not doing anything. Let's see here. So for example, some of the things I put in there that are specific for planting, for example, potatoes are considered a root vegetable, but not every root day is suitable for planting potatoes, so I added something specific for specific things. Lettuce, for example, if you plant that on a leaf day, on the wrong day, it goes overboard and shoots too much, and you won't harvest lettuce. You will harvest a plant, whatever that's 3 feet tall, things like that. It doesn't have any taste to it. So there's certain specific days, things that are, I've heard over and over that people traditionally planted potatoes on Good Friday. And that's, of course, nonsense, because if on Good Friday is a snowstorm, you don't plant potatoes. If you're in the northern hemisphere too much north, then and Easter falls into March, there's nothing you can plant. It's still all frozen. So it's not about that. Those are misconceptions that were created due to the overlapping religions on top of it. The understanding what was behind it got lost. In order to nail it to a certain day, with a religious day. That doesn't have anything to do with it.
Okay. So again, you can order the calendars here through messaging Isa here on this site here, through Black Hills Flower Essences. She also offers psychic readings, flower essences, calendars, and a whole lot more. So just come and take a peek around and see if there's anything that you like. And if you have any questions, feel free to message Isa.
Wait a minute. And if you come visit the Black Hills, we're living at a campground. We're having camping sites, RV sites, tent sites, camping log cabins, at Plenty Star Ranch in the southern Black Hills by Custer. You find us on Airbnb and Hip Camp. Keeps us busy. That's about it.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you very much. You guys have a great day.